So in the next match, Mofo is taking on Fei Yen. As we know, Mofo is using Gear Chronicles. Did really well against Zahn, and now he's up against Royal Paladins. Forced to ride a perfect guard in the first turn, but better than a misride. He does run the chance of being able to Soul Blast it later to have it in the drop zone. And also he does run Legion, so if he does end up Soul Blasting it, then he can return it through that. And now at grade 2, Fei Yen decides to rush the field. Mofo guards the first. No trigger on the second, except on Mofo's side, but he can't guard the third. And now Mofo does a version of Rush of his own, uses the first attack to take out the rear guard, and on the second attack he gets a draw trigger. Fei Yen triggers as well, so Mofo goes for the other rear guard. Royal Paladins need a lot of field in order to get their stuff going. And Fei Yen opts to misride. He didn't choose the G assist, which means this is an intentional misride in one shape or in one way or another. Which I can only guess he's doing because Gear Chronicles, especially this build, relies on Lun when the opponent is at grade 3. When the opponent is at grade 3, he has two options. He can either use Stride or he can use Legion, both of which are really good. Because Stride obviously leads his Generation Break skills, and therefore is pretty much what he has to do in order to start the game, technically. Meanwhile, with Legion, he can return choice units back to the deck, especially triggers, and get the abilities from those. It also gives Fei Yen the ability to Stride first, which he does with Ultimail. And now he's deciding, does he want to counterblast for Ultimail? He decides not to, because instead he's going to counterblast one for Sword Me. And Sword Me skill brings out a 7k booster for Sherry, which does gain its 3k power because there are 3 other Jewel Knight rearguards. Perfect guards the Vanguard attack, which stops Fei Yen from getting another attacker out. And this next attack has 2 critical. And instead of taking it, Mofo guards it. Drops a unit so he can activate his Stride now. And it's Chronos Command Dragon. Of course, Fei Yen did get a unit did get a perfect guard through the triple check. Knowing this, Mofo isn't even going to try to bluff and say he's going to attempt Chronos Command Dragon's skill. Which is good and bad. Bad in the sense that because he's taken away all ability for that to happen, he's taken away the fear of it, so Fei Yen has the ability to no guard if he trusts Mofo enough to not double critical. Of course, if Mofo does double critical, then he could potentially end the game here. Fei Yen has to keep that in mind. So he might drop the perfect guard just to make sure that's not the case. But no, he's not. Critical to Vanguard, draw trigger, and not another critical. So using Amber skill, he moves a unit to the bottom of the deck, and with a Soul Blast, he also unflips a damage. If it was me, I probably would have Soul Blasted the perfect guard, but who knows, he might have his reasons. Fei Yen drops Saint Blow Dragon. Really bad in the sense that Mofo might not have the guard, but at the same time, Mofo also does have 3 damage. If Fei Yen can't critical trigger, Mofo will survive the attack even if he can't guard it. Not only that, but Fei Yen is very far from his full power and potential. It'll be hitting for 42,000 still. Very difficult to block without a perfect guard. So he no guards. First check is draw trigger. Second check is draw trigger. And third check is critical. So Mofo has to heal trigger on the 6th specifically to live. And it doesn't happen. Good game, well played. That critical was clutch on Fei Yen's side. And good games to AE. Fei Yen showing he had 2 perfect guards, so even if the battle did continue, he was ready to go on. Probably has to do with the draw triggers giving him the other one, but was really close. Could have gone either way. And thank you for the team battle, and we'll see you next time.